please clear the courtroom, turn all of the cameras off, and I will come out and record in the Dr. Cornu-Labat matter. I have answered the questions for commission, and we can proceed. I believe you had asked Dr. You were making both a statement and perhaps looking for some clarification on what evidence or whether certain evidence could come in. And you were referring to exhibits which were previously prepared by your attorney, which included some sections of the investigative report prepared by Mr. Carlson.
No, Your Honor, I'm sorry. Just for clarification, I was referring to the exhibits presented by the department, by the commission. Specifically Exhibit 2.
You're talking about the department's,
no, correct.
The department's exhibits?
The department's exhibits.
That were previously submitted?
What was submitted to me.
Okay, you received in discovery, I see.
Correct. And specifically, I was asking Mr. Carlson regarding the usual procedure that relates to an investigation and the fact of the existence or not of an investigative report. My understanding is that an investigation in this type of cases generates, after it's completed, an investigative report, and that investigative report becomes part of the file and it's bound to discovery. What I have been provided thus far, and what seems to be the part that would correspond to that investigative report, was a 2-page document that included only the memo written by Mr. Carlson about an interview with the CEO of the Quincy Valley Medical Center, which is where all the issues with me generated.
Okay, well, the issue, though, sir, clarification, I recognize you're not an attorney. This is a foreign proceeding to you. Let me explain again. For the record and for the benefit of the panel members, commission panel members, prior to the hearing, both sides submitted a number of exhibits. I reviewed these exhibits at a pre-hearing, prior to a pre-hearing conference, which is traditionally held in all cases, to see whether or not, on an evidentiary basis, whether the exhibits will be admitted. And both sides submitted a large number of exhibits to me. And I made a ruling at the time, after reviewing these exhibits, that they would not be admissible in the hearing because of the specific nature of this hearing, because of the specific purpose for the hearing that is at issue here today. So, while you may receive something in discovery, Doctor, the fact that you received it in discovery does not necessarily mean that it will be admitted into any administrative hearing. There are a number of reasons why that may be true. And I can't be any more specific than that because I would then be getting into the basis for the refusal to do so based on the content of the exhibits. I simply ruled that they were not relevant or material to today's hearing, and therefore they're not admissible. That makes it difficult for you, I know.
It makes it difficult, Your Honor, because it essentially takes away all the issues that are at the very core and at the very center of what we're discussing today. And, you know, with all due respect, you ruled that the evidence was not admissible. The argument given to the evidence that was the last set of evidence that was presented for this hearing, through an addendum that I prepared in addition to my attorney's presentation, you ruled that evidence had been previously presented back in August of last year. when in fact all the evidence that I presented this last time was evidence that was produced after August.
Objection, Your Honor. I recognize the limitations and the constraints on Dr. Cornu-Labat, but where he's going at this point is a discovery dispute and or an objection or an argument about a prior pre-hearing ruling. It's not appropriate in front of the panel. We're getting into substantive areas that the court has ruled out of order for this proceeding, and it's just going to get even more confusing if we keep going into things that the court has already ruled are not before the panel this morning.
Thank you, Ms. O'Neill. What I was trying to do, what I am doing, is explain for Dr. Cornu-Labat's edification and to respectfully some education on how the process works. Whether you agree with my previous evidentiary ruling at this point is not an issue. The ruling exists. What I would explain to you, sir, is that this particular hearing, again, is limited to a very specific matter. Did you or did you not comply with the Commission's order and obtain an examination as was required under the order dated September the 24th, 2010. That's what we're here to discuss today. I will even go so far as to say that's probably not very satisfactory to you because it will not touch on, in any way, shape, or form, any of the issues that you would like to discuss.
That is absolutely correct.
Having acknowledged that, my ruling will not be changed. And I can't give you legal advice. I can simply tell you what the court's ruling is. And that's where we're at. So, do you have another question for Mr. Carson?
I don't have any other questions.
Thank you. Are you ready?
That'd be good.
I'd like to give the commission members an opportunity, Mr. Carson.
Oh, sorry.
You can move, but you're not moving fast enough. I'm going to keep you for a bit. Dr. Berger, do you have questions for this witness?
No, this one.
Thank you. Dr. Brandon? Okay. Dr. Cullen? Now you're free, sir. Thank you for your time and your testimony on behalf of the commission. Ms. O'Neill, any other witnesses?
I would call Dr. Cornu-Labat, and he can stay there.
I believe so. You understand, Doctor, that you're allowed to be called as a witness by the department?
That was part of, yes, I understand.
Okay, and you recognize that you were previously put on the court. Thank you, Doctor. Ms. O'Neill, you may proceed.
Dr. Cornu-Labat, have you received a copy of the Commission's order of September 2010 directing you to submit to an examination?
Yes, I did.
Have you submitted to the examination that that order required you to submit to?
No, I did not.
Did you understand that the examination was going to be paid for by the Commission, not by you?
Certainly, after the commission contacted the provider, yes.
I have no further questions.
Thank you. Rather than expect you, Doctor, to ask questions of yourself, I think what I'd like to do is give the commission members an opportunity to ask questions. Dr. Berger, I'll start with you. Dr. Green? Mr. Finnegan?
Did you understand when you got the order that the requested mental health exam would be paid for by the commission? Did you understand?
Certainly, that was stated very clearly.
At any point after you received the order, did you intend on getting that mental health exam? The one that was ordered? At any point?
Can you, yeah, I'm trying to understand the question in terms of what the intention of the question is.
As soon as you received the order, did you decide, as far as you were concerned, you were not going to get a mental health exam as ordered by that order? Or did it take time for you to decide that?
As ordered by that order?
Yeah.
Certainly I took my time, of course, to think through absolutely every aspect of these. But the way it was presented, no.
I don't know.
Dr. Collins?
Was there any technical or logistic reason that you chose not to have this examination? Was it distance, ability to travel, time off, or was that any factor at all?
Any physical factor? No, there were none. There was a conceptual factor, a very significant conceptual factor. That was the main reason why I refused it. It wasn't, I mean, I have been unemployed since I was fired from Quincy Valley Medical Center January of last year. I've had many offers for work, but I haven't been able, because we haven't finished with this case, I haven't been able to actually start working anywhere. So physically, time-wise, no, I had plenty of time. There was a very, very, very profound conceptual issue behind my refusal. And one of them was that there has been all along a very significant conflict of interest for the Department of Health in my case.
Thank you, Doctor. What's the conflict of interest that you just referred to?
Your Honor, the whole issue with the accusations that were brought up against me came right after a series of very significant administrative problems in the hospital where I was employed, and that I very openly denounced and moved to try to address them. The intention in the hospital administration was all along to keep these covered under the rug, handled internally, even though this is a public institution, and even though the issues that were at stake were of very significant public concern. And part of the problem that was present at the hospital at the time, where suddenly I became a crazy person, were issues in which the Department of Health, as the regulating agency, was partly responsible. Because, in essence, the issues in Quincy Valley Medical Center in terms of the administration are very significant and very broad. But there was one particular issue that was the straw that broke the camel's back, which was a fire inspection that showed that there had been widespread deficiencies throughout the hospital that had been long-standing. And these deficiencies had been reported to the Department of Health as fixed, and a re-inspection after that, when I happened to be part of the administration and the CEO was on vacation, the inspector showed up for a surprise re-inspection. And in this surprise re-inspection, the inspector finds out that despite the report from the CEO, that all the issues have been fixed, the majority of the deficiencies in the life safety code in the hospital were still there, untouched. I was part of the administration because I had been working since the beginning of 2009 in a project at the request of the hospital authorities to restructure the whole hospital. This project was very carefully designed by an outside consultant, and I was asked to spearhead it. And this project involved an in-depth assessment of all the resources of the hospital.
Your Honor, I objected at this point. I know that he was asked the question, but I don't think we're responsive to the question any longer, so I object on that basis.
Well,
No, you have, okay, go ahead.
thank you.
Just respond to the objection.
Sure, to the objection is, I think I'm essentially responding to your question because you asked me why I'm saying there was a conflict of interest.